what's going on, guys? What's going on? I hope you guys are having a good day. I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World and the Black Business School. And I'm going to give you guys time to come into the chat. Take your time and come in and get comfortable because we got a good conversation to talk about. And so as you come in, I want to ask you guys an important question. How many of you have heard the word gentrification? Now, this is gentrification, not as Alicia referred to it as regentrification. This is just gentrification. I don't know if you know, Ms. Washington, before we got here, I was talking to my fiance about it, who's also a professor of social work. And she was talking to me about it and reading one of the articles that you had sent over before we had this discussion. And she kept saying regentrification. I said, no, it's just gentrification. It's not It's not re. But anyway, but I think it's worth talking about because it's an important issue happening in our community. And so I want to welcome, and I hope you guys will join me in welcoming Professor Tanya Washington. Professor Washington is a community activist and attorney. She's a Harvard Law graduate, actually. University of Maryland Law and then Harvard Law for her master's. And she's actually right now in an interesting back and forth with Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms of Atlanta over gentrification. Now, what I want you guys to do is, and I will tell you why I'm doing the interview, is I wanted to hear this story because I think all these stories need to be heard. And you guys know what I believe. I believe the truth sets you free. And I like for the truth to be laid out on the table. So without further ado, I want to welcome Ms. Washington to Dr. Boyce TV. How you doing today, sister?
I'm wonderful, Dr. Watkins. Thanks for having me, and hello to all of your streaming guests.
Yes. And everybody who's in here, please say hello. And also, I want to remind everybody, this is a platform for intelligent Black people. So if you're not Black and intelligent, you may want to leave. So all the stupid people get out. Smart Black folks is going to be talking here. All right. So let's jump into this, Professor Washington. All right. So, I don't know much about, I know a little bit about Atlanta because I go down there and I do stuff, and I have a lot of really great friends down there. People, just today, right before I met you, my friend John Harris introduced me to you, your cousin, actually.
Yeah.
Great guy for 20 years. I just maybe 2 hours earlier, exchanged messages with Jay Morrison, congratulating him on his new building that he just built. David Banner, I think he's in Atlanta. I talked to David a couple days ago. And there's a lot of other, people in Atlanta that I just love and have so much respect for. So when I heard about this battle, this gentrification battle, I was really intrigued. I was really curious, because it almost seemed, at least the way it was presented to me, was that it was almost like a racial issue, right? And I think that people who don't live in Atlanta are confused about racial issues in Atlanta because Atlanta's always had this reputation of being sort of the Black Mecca, right? So it just becomes, so it's sort of like, well, what's going on here? So I'm going to be quiet for a minute, and can you kind of summarize for us, what's really going on and what you're concerned about?
Yes. So we are the fourth fastest gentrifying city in the U.S. And I think it's a confluence of race and class that is producing an effect that is displacing large numbers of Black people and legacy communities, the communities that have been a part of the fabric of Atlanta for a very long time. The rising price of housing and rent, property taxes, code enforcement abuse, and then what I'm dealing with and what my neighbors are dealing with is eminent domain, are all ways that people are being moved out of downtown areas and in the city of Atlanta out to the suburbs where they have less access to transportation and all of the things that a thriving, vibrant downtown has to offer. And so that is surprising, given that Atlanta has this reputation as a Black Mecca and also a civic identity as the cradle of a civil rights movement. We're about to celebrate Martin Luther King's birthday in a couple of weeks. And this is a place that is really experiencing a lot of class challenges and has earned the reputation of being the most unequal city in the US. And that's not a title that you want to have.
Whoa, are you kidding me?
Yes, Atlanta is the most unequal city in the US.
Wow.
So the disparity between the rich and the poor is dramatic.
Wow. Okay, so in case you guys just came in, I'm speaking with Professor Tanya Washington, and we're talking about a gentrification battle that's taking place in Atlanta. And I'd like to ask you guys a yes or no question. Hit the thumbs up button, by the way. And if you're on Facebook, please share this to your page. But did you know, yes or no, did you know that Atlanta was the most unequal city in America? Did you all know this? Yes or no? I did not know this. I did not know this. I'm very surprised. So as we're digging into, I'm really getting more and more intrigued with what's going on here. But before we dig in, maybe we can extrapolate just a second. I'd like to ask you, Professor Washington. She's a professor of law, by the way, at Georgia State University. That's what she does. Um, why do you think Atlanta has this inequality problem?
I think there are a lot of factors. I think that we have attracted a lot of development, and I don't think development inherently is bad or wrong. But if we aren't mindful of how these development deals affect people, affect housing, affect communities, then you can allow development that displaces large numbers of people. And we've got stadiums that have displaced people. We have seemed to prioritize these flashy, um, flashy development deals that make a lot of money and raise the profile of the city, but we aren't taking care of our citizens that are struggling, that are working class, that are part of what is authentic about Atlanta. And so I don't think it's necessarily unique to Atlanta. I think people are more surprised about it because our reputation as the Black Mecca is incongruent with the reality that many Black folks in Atlanta can't afford to really stay in the city.
Interesting.
So I think our current statistics are that Atlanta is 51% Black.
Interesting. 1%. Okay. And from what I understand, about other cities like DC and stuff like that, the numbers are dropping in those
Yes,
places. Is it same thing in Atlanta?
absolutely. The urban centers have become more attractive to people. And, there's always natural migration patterns among human beings. We move in and out of spaces. But when you see this kind of, you see poor Black and brown communities being replaced with more educated, more affluent, whiter citizens, it's not just organically occurring migration pattern. There's something behind it. And it's a replacement of people.
Interesting. Okay, so Professor Washington, I'd like to know, can you tell us a little bit more? What I was really also very interested in is, it seems that right now there's kind of a little bit of a battle that I saw some protests. I've heard some talk about lawsuits. The use of eminent domain to push people out. Just all kinds of stories about parks being built, but yet they're not really building a park. They're really planning to build something else. Not that this is actually happening, but that's sort of the insinuation that some people have made. Can you kind of break down for us sort of, what's going on in Atlanta in particular, in terms of, what's going on and how this involves Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms?
Mm-hmm. So in 2012, there was some flooding in my neighborhood, which is one of the neighborhoods that's around the Turner Field Stadium and the Olympic Stadium. And so there was development when the Olympics came to Atlanta in 1996. And a lot of that development displaced neighbors in my community, but it also created a lot of flooding because they put parking lots where there used to be green space that would absorb water. That overdevelopment and neglect has resulted in some flooding. And so the city's approach to dealing with that flooding is what is at issue. There are ways to address the flooding that doesn't require the displacement of 27 people in the middle of a block of Peoplestown. That's the name of the historic Black neighborhood that we live in, on Atlanta Avenue, Atlanta, Georgia. So Mayor Reed, who was the former mayor, told us that all of us were going to have to go. And those of us who challenged that decided that we did not believe that it was necessary for us to leave. And as a result, we were sued in October of 2016. Our names were taken off the deeds to our homes. We continue to pay our mortgages for the past 3 years, but we do not have legal title to our homes, which means we can't sell our homes, we can't rent our homes, we can't even make repairs to our homes. We can't take out a second mortgage to pay for the litigation. We are completely at the mercy of the city. We have been litigating this. 20 of our neighbors' houses were demolished. And now they left the trees, so it's just a big open green space. 4 houses of the 27 remain, and we're in litigation. Fortunately, we stayed in litigation long enough to get some documents from the city that show that at the time that they started tearing down homes, a city engineer who was also the project manager for this particular project to build a park and pond was saying, we don't have the engineering data to support the land acquisition. It's not necessary. And they had this document before they started tearing homes down. That's a smoking gun. That's a smoking gun admission. She later came to court and testified to the same effect. We've had meetings with Mayor Bottoms, who inherited this issue. She promised that she's going to work on it. However, we are in our 7th year of this. In February, it will be 7 years. 7 years of living under a cloud, 7 years of being insecure in your housing. And, we've staged protests, we have signed petitions, we've called for calls to the mayor's office, we've asked city council to intervene. And we're really frustrated that our mayor, who has the ability to be the hero in this story, has declined the invitation to do so.
Okay, so let me, first of all, everybody who's watching, I'm speaking with Professor Tanya Washington, and we're talking about a gentrification situation occurring in Atlanta that involves the Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms, but also involves our community. And again, there's no agenda here that I have other than the truth, and make sure all stories are told. Do me a favor, if you're watching on YouTube, please hit the thumbs up button. Make sure you subscribe. Also, if you're on Facebook, please also share this to your page, especially if you know anybody who lives in Atlanta. I think there are a lot of people who'd like to know about this. I don't know about you guys. Tell me yes or no if you're actually kind of glad you're hearing this story, because I had no idea. So what really stood out to me, Professor Washington, is you and I were talking, off the air before the fact, and you said, and I said, well, where do you teach law? And you said Georgia State University. And I don't know a lot about Mayor Bottoms. I don't like her, dislike her. I don't know enough about her to have an opinion. But I said, wait, didn't she go to Georgia State University? And that's when you told me that when she was elected, you congratulated her, sister to sister and things like that. And so you're saying that she has the chance to be the hero in the story, but obviously, I guess that hasn't happened yet. What's going on? I think that makes me kind of sad. These 2 highly accomplished Black women who should be buddies have become adversaries. What has caused this divide to occur in the first place?
I think that's a really good question. I am proud of Mayor Bottoms' accomplishments. She is one of our distinguished alums. She's the 60th mayor of Atlanta. She graduated from the law school that I've been teaching at for 17 years now. We threw her a reception, the Black Law Students Association, and I'm the faculty advisor for that organization, decided to celebrate her accomplishments because it's worthy of celebration. She's my sorority sister. And so I don't know why we can't bring this to a mutually beneficial resolution, especially in light of the fact that we've discovered that none of this was necessary. And so I am still hopeful, despite, the exhaustion that comes with fighting something for 7 years, when it was never necessary. I'm still hopeful that she's going to do the right thing. I will continue to invite her to do so. And I expect that she's going to do the right thing. She has earned the title of the housing mayor, right, which indicates some concern about housing inequities. And of all of the ways that gentrification occurs, eminent domain is like the most draconian. It's the most aggressive. You know, you're taking people's property. And we have a history of this in America. We don't have a history of Black officials doing it to Black residents.
Wow. I'm actually kind of sad about this. You know,
Yeah.
what sorority are you in, by the way? Delta. Okay.
Delta.
Delta. Okay. Okay.
I know I'm wearing my pearls, but that's because I'm in the South. I'm a Delta.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. You know what? My sister's an AK, my brother's an Alpha, but and my aunt is a Delta. I didn't pledge, but I just, it just makes me, and I really feel that, you know, with both of you being Black women in Atlanta and so highly accomplished. I mean, this sister, she's very humble, but I want y'all to know that I'm speaking to a brilliant Black woman right now. I just met her today. I met her. You and I, you'll vouch for this, right? You and I met John Harris introduced us maybe about 2 hours ago. Yeah. And I was scanning through the Vita. First thing I see at the top of the Vita, y'all, is Harvard University. And then I'm reading through, and there are different types of professors. You know, you got adjuncts, and then you have associates, and you're tenured at Georgia. Is that correct?
Tenured full professor.
Wow, a tenured full professor, and that is a big deal. Alicia's about to be promoted to full professor.
Oh, congratulations!
Knock on wood, yeah, fingers crossed. And that we're gonna have a big party because
you have to.
Yes. I mean, you just got to be proud of our sisters. We got to congratulate our sisters when they do great.
Absolutely.
And so you know, it's interesting. You know, in this, I guess what's intriguing about this is that, you know, so two high-powered women kind of in this really awkward situation, and I'd be curious to know, has she spoken on this at all? Has her office issued a statement about what's going on, or
her office has said that they are working on it, but there has been no action to confirm that, right? We're still in litigation. We're still being sued. We're still defendants in an eminent domain lawsuit. We're still in a position where any day we could be evicted from our homes because the dispossessory notice was attached to the complaint 3 years ago. And so, you know, someone telling you I'm working on it is unsatisfactory. Mm. You know, eminent domain is an executive power. It's interesting. Our current president is talking about using eminent domain to build the wall along the southern border because he doesn't own all of the land that he would need to use to build this wall. And it seems to be one of the few issues, the few legal issues that Republicans, Democrats, and Libertarians are all opposed to for different reasons. But it is an extraordinary executive power. She's the chief executive of the city of Atlanta. She can make this go away. And I just really hope that she'll be the hero in this story.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, this document, this smoking gun document, stating that they didn't actually need the land, or they can justify the necessity, right? That undermines eminent domain, right? Because eminent domain is contingent upon you actually needing to do it. Like, we have to do this, right?
Absolutely. And so necessity is the question, and this document is saying it wasn't necessary.
Wow. Okay. I don't know what you guys think, but I'd be curious to see how this plays out. I'm going to be following this in the news. And when Professor Washington and I jumped on today, I told her that Alicia gave me a curfew, and so she tells me you can work all day, but you can't work all night too. And so I'm gonna show respect to the Black woman in my house by hopping off. But I'm gonna tell you, I'm really curious about this, and I'm gonna do some more research on it. And I will also say that it's a pleasure to make your acquaintance, Ms. Washington.
Absolutely.
Yes.
The feeling is mutual. Thank you for sharing your guests, all of your audience members with me. This has been wonderful.
Sure, it is our pleasure. And everybody, please give the sister a digital round of applause, a digital thank you for her work. And I encourage you guys to do some research on this. That this is an issue the Black community is gonna have to grapple with, right? Because you guys know I'm all about economic empowerment and wealth building, et cetera. But I don't believe in hardcore capitalism. And one of the shortcomings of capitalism is situations like this.
Yeah.
where you're creating these wealth divides and you're pushing poor people out of their homes and things like that. And I believe that there's a way we can do better and still be good people, and
Absolutely.
still, do the right thing. And so I'd be curious to see what the mayor does. I hope that this doesn't create an unnecessary divide. I mean, two strong, smart Delta women, y'all got to find a way to come together. So,
We
uh,
must. We must.
yes, yes. So everybody, this is Professor Tanya Washington. She's at Georgia State University. If you live in Atlanta, take a look, go research it, make your own opinion, decide if you want to play a part in this, and I'll keep you guys posted. So thank you very much,
Right.
Ms.
Thank
Washington.
you, Dr. Watkins.
Thank you, and you have a good night.
You do the same.
And everybody, before you go, hit the thumbs up button, share, and subscribe button. If you want to help us grow intelligent Black media, just go to intelligentblackpeople.com. That's intelligentblackpeople.com. Take care, guys. Have a good night, and see you
Good
soon.
night.
Bye
Bye.
bye.